Hello, Wapplers from around the world. My name is Mark, known as Mark1 on the forum, and this is our Wappler monthly meetup. As we enter our third year, meetups are now on the second Friday of every month. You can keep tabs on them in the forum and review past meetups on our YouTube channel. Today, we have a little bit of a different format, a different meetup format today. We're going to be going through Wappler's new and updated Stripe integration in a little bit of a different way. So I'm going to share my screen and go to, all right. We're now on Wappler 6.4.2, and we're going to be talking today about Ben from Australia, down under, has put together an awesome YouTube series on his boutique, which includes everything from start to finish, including a e-commerce site that uses Stripe. The Wappler's in the process of bringing in Stripe elements. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but this is still available in the experimental channel?
Oh, good question. Yes, I think so, but I think they've now finished adding all the components.
Okay, and if it isn't there yet, it's going to be there soon. These updated Stripe elements that Ben refers to as goodies. In the Wappler forum, you'll be able to find all the updated features that are available using Stripe, and it's absolutely amazing, very powerful. So now we're going to go over to discuss on the Wappler forum. We have the Stripes element overview with a whole bunch of details that you can find. It makes us for some very good reading. And there's also some updated documentation. This particular documentation is for using a Stripe button. I just did this the other day and it worked the first time out of the box, which is very powerful. There's 11 steps to installing a Stripe button, Stripe buy button, and you can accept different types of currency, and you have all kinds of control, and it's extremely user friendly. And here's how it works. I just love it. There's Stripe also has a mountain of documentation as well. This is an example of the Stripe elements. Stripe has video tutorials, and then we have of course, the Wappler YouTube channel with all kinds of, besides Ben's updates, there's all kinds of video tutorials. Brian English is another huge supporter, and he publishes on some really nice things on a regular basis. And then we come to the Ben's shopping cart series is called Boutique, and I took an example out of video number 11 that I'm going to show you in just a second. And then after that, we're going to dive into video 15, which hasn't been released yet, but will be released in good time when Ben gets back from his holiday. The video 11 shows the shopping cart aspect. I'm going to play this. John, please holler if this doesn't work.
To test what we have so far, I go to the layout page and turn the preview mode on. Then I select the home page where I add a product to the cart. Here I can increase and decrease the quantity. Adding the same product merely increases the quantity. I can also add other products and delete products. That is it for this video.
All right. Now we've gone from 11 to 15, which is hidden. As so often happens in live events, the video we're going to play next has disappeared. I'm going to ask you folks to give me just a moment, and I ask John to do a commercial on Wappler during our break. I'll be back with you in just a minute. Sorry, John, I throw you under the bus every month.
Oh, I'm not going to come next month. Yeah, don't know what to say. I mean, is everyone on Wappler 6, or at least 6.4 now? I can't see most people, but I'm assuming that's a yes. I'm one of those that pretty much updates as soon as it comes out, like within 5 or 10 minutes of seeing it, unless something goes pear-shaped, which is pretty unusual. But so yeah, 6.4.2 being the latest.
Okay. All right. I'm back. Thank you, John.
That's
Hey,
all right. Mark, when you play the video, there's a setting in Zoom, and now I can't for the life of me remember exactly where it is, but it helps with the audio, because I think what happens when you play it normally, some of the audio mutes just because it's picking up your microphone, and so there's a when you I think it's all part of the sharing. When you start to share, there's a setting to I think it's might be in advanced. You've got to share sound
Okay.
and optimize for video clip. So that's worth doing. We've lost your sound completely now, Mark. You're muted.
Thank you for pointing that out. I think we're good to go. All right. Two things. One is, if you get a chance in the chat, let us know your name and where you're from. And secondly, as we go through the video, if you have any questions, please submit them in the chat, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. And we'll also try to follow up with Ben when he returns from his holiday. So without further ado, do you see the Inspire now? Okay, this is a world premiere, literally, of Ben's video number 15, the Stripe Payment Gateway.
Hi, my name is Ben Plessier and I am a fervent user of Wappler. With this video, I will show you how to process a payment from the checkout page. I have based this payment system on Stripe. Stripe is one of the top payment processing providers, which allows you to create full e-commerce solutions. Thanks to the client and server-side Stripe integration in Wappler, it's now easier than ever to add buy now buttons, checkout pages, and even create entire stores. The very first requirement is a Stripe account. Rather than me showing you how to create a Stripe account, I would like to refer you to the docs section of the Wappler website. Here, I select e-commerce, and go to the Getting Started with Stripe section. Just follow the steps as outlined, right down to where the document states, products and prices. There is no need to go any further for our project. If you do not already have a Stripe account, and you want to follow along, I suggest that you exit this video and create your account first. After the Stripe account creation, comes the secure handshake when communicating with a payment gateway. This comes in the form of a secret key. For this, I go to the Workflows tab, and select the Server Connect Settings icon. In the Settings dialog, I hit the Stripe tab, and select the Secret Key Information button. This takes us to the Stripe dashboard where we can see two different keys. One for the client side, and the key that I need, called secret key. First, reveal the key. Then copy the secret key by clicking on it. Close the browser. Back to where I left Wappler, I paste the secret key into the text box. This causes Wappler to rumble in the background. When a customer makes a purchase, the payment needs to be associated with that customer. Because payments occur in Stripe, I need to create a customer in Stripe, at the same time as the customer registration. Stripe issues its own ID for the customer, and to keep track of the Stripe customer ID, this has to be stored in our database. Let me now add an extra field in the customers table. I have called this field Stripe ID. Set the length of the string to 32. Save the change. Next on the list is the customer registration process, where the customer has to be added to Stripe. For this I go to the Workflows tab and select Customers, Upsert. In the Actions panel, I scroll down to Stripe. In the search text box, I enter the search term until I see Create Customer. This is then dragged and dropped before the database insert step. With the Stripe Create Customer still selected, I trundle off to the Properties panel, where I enter the lowercase email address and full name of the customer. There are other fields that could be filled in, but these are available in our own database. The purpose here is identification. We are now dealing with an entity that is outside of our control. I am talking about the Stripe customer creation. There could be error messages that need to be output for our customer to see. To do this, I add a try and catch region. The steps after the new region are dragged inside it. This represents the normal flow. For the alternative flow, that is when an error occurs, I add a catch region. Inside the catch region, I add a set value. I name it error, and for the value, I select error. This value is needed on the front end, so tick the output box. Then I go to the database insert. Here I add the Stripe ID column. The value is selected from the Stripe Create Customer step. This contains the Stripe ID. Save the JSON file and we are done here. To see what the result of what we have done so far, I go to the browser and register a new customer. In the database, this is the entry, complete with the Stripe customer ID. In the Stripe dashboard, I see that I am now a Stripe customer. Now that we have created a Stripe customer, I can go ahead to create a Stripe payment. Let me first explain the workflow involved. When a customer has logged in, the checkout page triggers the request for a payment intent. Stripe then returns a new payment intent which includes a client secret key. The user then enters the credit card details and sends this information off to Stripe. Stripe then processes the payment, and when successful, returns the payment intent with status, succeeded. Let me now put this theory into practice. As usual, I do the server side first. In the Workflows panel, I create a new folder, called Stripe. Inside the Stripe folder, I add an action, called Checkout. First, I want to add a payment intent. This is done by going to the Actions panel, and scrolling down to Stripe, consecutively scrolling down to Payment Intents. Instead of choosing the singular payment intent, I select the payment intent template and drag into the JSON file. Selecting the payment intent and going to the Properties panel, we see that there are many fields that can be populated. However, there are only 3 required fields: the amount, the currency, which I will add now, and the payment method. This one already shows a card. I want to associate the payment with a customer. Hence, I will use the Stripe customer ID for this. In other words, I need to have a value for the amount and a value of the customer ID. For the amount, I add a variable in the posted input. This will come from the checkout page. For the Stripe customer ID, I add a single query before the payment intent. Here I select the customers table, and Stripe ID as the only field that is required. For the condition, the customer ID must be the same as the ID of the logged-in customer. That is the customer security. I can now go ahead and populate the 2 fields in the payment intent. To explain what has happened here. This creates the payment intent, and if all is well, Stripe returns a new payment intent with a client secret key. This key is then harnessed and made available to the front end. If there is a problem, such as invalid card number, or insufficient funds, then an error will occur. This error message has also been made available on the front end. And that is it for the server side. Don't forget to save the file. Now for the front end. This is where I left off in the last video where I discussed the login and logout procedures. Actually, while you were not looking, I added 2 more pages. The first is called Customer Home, which has a temporary label. The second is called Payment Success, also with a label. When adding the Stripe payment card, there are 2 required components, namely the connection to Stripe and the Stripe payment card. For the connection to Stripe, I add the Stripe component to the page. This requires the public key. To obtain the key, I hit the Information button. This takes me to the Stripe dashboard. Here, I make sure that the test mode has been turned on, so that I get the test keys. I take a copy of the public key. Upon return to the checkout page, I paste the key into the text box. Change the flow type to server side. Set the session URL to the checkout API. There are no line items, therefore, remove. I will be placing the Stripe payment form after the last element on the page. This is currently a flex container that is visible when there are items in the shopping cart. For this section, I could have used another flex container that shows when the customer is logged in. Instead, I will use a conditional region. For this, I go to Data, and Conditional Region. Give it an ID. And for the condition, I select the customer security, is not empty. In other words, the customer is logged in. Inside the condition, I add a paragraph. This is not a requirement. But I like to make sure that the user is informed. The message can be tailored to your environment. After the paragraph, I generate a form. For the server action, I go to the Stripe Checkout API. The total amount form input does not have to be seen by the user, so I hide it. The form gets an ID and gets converted to a Stripe checkout form. When there is a successful payment, Stripe will return the payment intent with status, succeeded. This status is captured to send the user to the payment success page. With this version of Wappler, I do not have the choice to link the page to a route. Future versions of Wappler will have this option included. For now, my workaround. Select the page. And modify the link by adding a / and removing the file extension. Under Dynamic Events, I select Stripe. There is no need for a success message. When there is a successful payment, the user will be taken to another page. But there is a need to show an error message, if and when one occurs. The error will be shown in a notification. The text field gets the error message that the Stripe handler issues. The hidden form input has the default INP_ attached to the ID. In previous cases I have replaced the default, to ensure that there are no duplicate IDs within a page. In this case, I will simply remove the default. Then, to give the form input a value, I go to Dynamic Attributes. Here I select Input, and Value. For the value, I choose the variable called total. This is converted into a number and multiplied by 100. The reason for the multiplication is that Stripe only accepts the lowest denomination as amounts. In our case, this is cents. After the hidden form field, comes the Stripe payment card. I save the document so that I can test the page in the browser. Here we see the Stripe card complete with an autofill link button. This button comes, courtesy of Stripe. Also noticeable in dark mode, the card does not rhyme too well with the Bootstrap dark theme. The card numbers are barely visible. To fix this in the current version of Wappler, I add a Bootstrap data attribute to change the theme. Data-bs-theme, and equate this to light. Again testing in the browser. We see that the problem has been solved.
He hasn't added the audio to the end of this video as of yet. Right. And that is where he's at so far in his video. Like to open up the floor to any thoughts or comments. I'm blown away at the point and click functionality of Wappler and Stripe working together.
He covered a lot there, and really does show the speed to get Wappler payments integrated. I remember doing before the very first Stripe integration came out, I did it the hard way with just using Wappler's APIs, and oh, I don't know how long I spent. Felt like days, possibly even longer.
There's a question in the chat about the difference between Stripe and PayPal. I'll share my experience first. I've had some issues with PayPal for now and again, um, even after the development process and dealing with funding and whatnot. But my relationship with Stripe has been bulletproof. It's been absolutely amazing. Anybody else have any comments on the difference between PayPal and Stripe?
I found PayPal was good. I don't know, probably five or so, maybe more years ago. The instant payment notification just made it really, really easy. You would just send a customer to PayPal, they would key in the details, and then the IPN would sort out the after sales bit, and it just worked. But PayPal seemed to have gone in a different direction and made it a lot harder to integrate, and they keep changing it. Whereas Stripe, I've contacted Stripe support several times, and you get someone straight away on chat
Mm-hmm.
and is with you until it's resolved, and they can look at their side and see why something isn't working. So I've found Stripe to be, yeah, not bulletproof, but very supportive.
The
And their prices is good as well.
but this is really exciting. I've been waiting for this for some time now, and being able to use the point and click functionality with the user friendliness of Stripe is going to make e-commerce sites a reality with Wapplers, I'm sure. What do you think, Bob?
I mean, it all seems good. I've done several sites with Stripe and well, I guess kind of with the old method. I got a site coming up that I'm doing that's actually not Stripe. It's through another processing service. So I'm gonna have to kind of figure that one out here soon and see how that goes. I might be spending days on creating those APIs to make that stuff work. But the flows are the same. I mean, I'm still waiting on the information from the processing company. They're supposed to be having a rep call me and talk me through the way they do their things. So we're gonna see how that works with doing that. I mean, I've done several of the shopping carts, built the shopping carts through Wappler, and that's gone pretty smooth. But I'm gonna have to kind of mix and match. So we'll see how that turns out.
Sounds like a future meetup video. Yeah, that just so everybody knows, and I guess next month, Bob, you're going to show us API or the month after?
June.
2 months. Okay.
June. Yeah, it'll take me time.
Yeah. So
well, and that's and a lot of that presentation is going to be how to troubleshoot APIs with Postman and how to make sure, because sometimes it's weird the way Wappler does the APIs. It's not weird, but it's just when you're looking at it, it's like, oh, this should work, and why doesn't this work? And Postman, like, okay, my authorization is correct. I'm sending this stuff through properly. So then it helps troubleshoot what you're getting from the Wappler side. I guess that's my approach of what I'm gonna talk about.
That's awesome. I think I'm going to title that one, "We like to get out of trouble faster than we get into it."
Yep.
Very good. Does anybody have any questions or comments about what we just? I got another question here. Okay, this is got a question right up your alley, John. Oliver from Washington, D.C. So I was asking if there was an ability to generate default web interface with the database using CRUD features. And he's focused and interested in how Wappler can speed up his build. Would you like to take that and then direct him to your video that you have on the YouTube channel?
Yeah. Basically, last May and the May before were both 20 to 30-minute demonstrations on CRUD and SCRUD, and basically demonstrated how to do a complete CRUD system in under 30 minutes. I think it's about 25 minutes last time, which really does show off the speed of Wappler, where hand coding it all, hard to say how long it would take, but I'm guessing a couple of days with testing and everything minimum, and got it down to 25 minutes. So Oliver, get on to, if you look up the meetup for May 2023 on YouTube, you'll see there. Oh, it sounds like Mark's just found it.
That's it. I'm going to put the link in the chat. And I want to add to what John just said. He did it with very little preparation time and in front of a live audience, and it went flawlessly.
More or less. Also, the difference between May 2022 and 2023, 2022 was done with PHP server model, and 2023 was done in Node.js. But the processes are identical, and that again is another big plus with Wappler. You can work on any of the server models, and the actual way of working is largely the same. Node has different page structure, but the actual implementing of all the APIs and everything is the same.
All right. So that was May 2023 was PHP. No.
May 2023 was Node. May 2022 was PHP.
Very good. And I'm also putting the Wappler Meetup link, the Wappler YouTube channel Meetup link in the chat as well, with tons of other information for you. Well, I'd like to ask if anybody has any questions or comments. I would like to thank everybody for participating today and rolling with us on the content change. I'd like to invite many Wapplers out there. Do you have a special skill or something you've built that you'd like to share with the community? Reach out. We'll get you fixed up with the meetup. Until then, I hope you all have a very safe and prosperous day, and we will look forward to seeing everybody on the second week of May. And have a great day. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks.
See you.